Case file number 3580. Written by What in the Heck in the Woo? A Somber Pancake. I was 17, and driving a route I knew like the back of my hand. Same roads, same turns, same timing, same everything. Driving on autopilot, basically. I was heading to the grocery store, nothing special about the day at all. Then, my gut screamed at me. There was no logical reason to change lanes. No traffic backup, no obstruction, nothing it could point to say that's why I was feeling this way. It was just this insistent pull in my stomach telling me to move left. Take the next light. Add 5 minutes to a trip I'd made 100 times. I remember almost dismissing it. It was inconvenient. It meant missing my exit, cutting down a back street, looping around to a parking lot along the way. For a 17-year-old just trying to grab groceries, it felt like hell. But I listened to it. No idea why I did. I got in the left lane. The drive-in was uneventful. I parked, went inside, grabbed what I needed. Maybe 20 minutes passed. Walking out of the store, I looked over toward the road I had been on earlier. Traffic had stopped. There were emergency vehicles. And at the exact spot where I had been driving, the exact stretch of road I would have occupied at almost the exact same time, 2 tractor-trailers had collided. The force of it had sandwiched a smaller vehicle caught between them, accordioned it, compressed it so completely that you couldn't distinguish the front of the car from the back. It looked less like a vehicle and more like something you'd see in a junkyard after the crusher was done with it. Then, I recognized the car. It was the one that had been directly behind me. I remember her and the woman driving it because we'd both been moving to music. I could see her in my memory just bobbing along to whatever was playing. You have no choice when a good song comes on and starts moving your body for you. Well, our bodies. Both just going about our Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever day it was. Freaking hell. She took my lane when I moved over. She took my exit. She took my spot on that road. Her car was a Pancake. I sat with that in the parking lot for a while. Remember, I was 17. I didn't have the emotional vocabulary for what I was experiencing. I just knew, in the most concrete and visceral way a person can know something, that I was looking at where I was supposed to be. I still think about her. I don't know her name, I never will. But she has lived in the back of my mind ever since. I think about whether she had kids waiting for her. She looked to be in her 30s. Whether someone got a phone call that afternoon that tore their life apart. And I think about that gut feeling, that small, irrational, inconvenient nudge that I almost ignored. I don't take those lightly anymore. So I just want to point out one thing very importantly. The fact that you change lanes and you listen to your gut, it doesn't make you responsible. There's survivor's guilt, and then this is more intense than just survivor's guilt, because you probably do think, well, yeah, if that was supposed to be me that died there. Outside of anything supernatural or mystical within the universe glitches, this isn't your fault. And I just want to make that point very clear. This is the fault of the random chaos of the universe. I don't think you were predestined to die there. I don't think she was either. I think bad stuff can just happen at random, unfortunately, even to good people. And for whatever reason your gut told you that it was coming and you listened to it, maybe her gut told her too, but she didn't listen to hers. I don't know. Not victim blaming, that's not what I mean to do here. I'm just saying that we all have a sense in our gut, and we really ought to listen to it. I've said that many times, and I'll always say it, because yeah, our gut isn't always right, but there's a lot of information embedded in there. And might even be influenced or prompted sometimes by our guardian angels. And, because of quantum immortality, she's probably not really dead in the conventional sense. Just hop to a different universe, one can hope. Welcome, I'm Paul, this is Dave. Today I have 10 Glitch in the Matrix and paranormal stories for you. My favorite one involves cake. No surprise there, right? Let's get to it. Case file number 3581, written by Catastrophic. a strange summer suit. So I was at my parents' house this weekend, helping them clear out some old boxes in the attic. You know the drill. Dusty photo albums, old school reports, the usual. I found this one Polaroid of myself when I was about 7 or 8. It was taken in our old backyard with the massive 6-foot wooden privacy fence. I'm standing there holding a melting popsicle, looking typical for a kid in the late 90s. But then I looked at the background. Behind me, standing right near the back corner of the fence, but to be clear, inside our yard, is a man. He's tall, wearing what looks like a dark suit or heavy overcoat, which makes zero sense because it was clearly summer in Georgia. He isn't looking at the camera. Here are the parts that are actually messing with my head. The fence. Our yard was completely enclosed. To get in, you had to go through the house or a heavy iron gate that was always padlocked because our dog was a runner. More like a bolter. You'd think we were torturing the guy as much as he wanted to escape from us. The family. I showed it to my mom, thinking she'd laugh and say it was a neighbor or relative I'd forgotten about. Instead, she turned white. Not the reaction I wanted. She told me she vividly remembers taking that photo because I was being a brat about the popsicle. She swore on everything that there was. Nobody else was in that yard. My dad looked at it intensely. He's the most skeptical, logical guy I know. He just stared at it for 10 minutes and eventually said, "I don't know who that is, and there's no way they could have stood there without me seeing them." Matter of fact, history horror. It's not like he looks like a ghost or anything. He looks solid, real. But he doesn't belong. He's a total stranger in a private family memory inside of a private yard, and apparently, he was standing 10 feet behind me while my mom was looking through the viewfinder. Yet, she doesn't remember seeing him at all, or noticing him in the picture back when it was developed. It's one thing to see a ghost in a haunted hotel or some creepy abandoned house over a graveyard, but seeing a literal stranger in your own childhood backyard from a photo feels way more invasive and unusual. Case file number 3582, written by Ken Doll 0, The Echo in Exam Room 2. I was working in a small dental office with just one doctor, so there was mostly one patient at a time traffic, and the office was quiet when there was no patient in. It was a couple of minutes before our next patient was supposed to arrive. The doctor and I were in the back office, and the phone rang and went to voicemail. So the doctor and I tuned in to listen to what it was. It was the next patient, calling to let us know they were running a few minutes behind, but would be there soon. After the voicemail finished, we went to tell the front desk that they called and would be a little late. After we told her, she informed us that the patient was already here and she had arrived about a minute ago and was talking to her now. The doctor and I both heard the door chime at the exact same time that the voicemail was being recorded, but we had assumed that the door chime was from someone else walking in that wasn't scheduled. The doctor and I made a comment to the patient along the lines of, "Oh, we just got your voicemail. You didn't even end up being late." It was now the exact same time that the patient was scheduled for. The patient then informs us that she never left a voicemail. I remember the doctor and I were both facing each other, eyes wide, and saying, "Whoa, that was weird." We both know for a fact we heard that patient leave that voicemail, even though she was already in the office chatting to the front desk. And yeah, we checked the machine. There wasn't a voicemail left. Case file number 3583, written by Competitive Term 3655. The Protein Layer. I baked a cake once, and honestly, it was just supposed to be a normal, unremarkable cake. Nothing special going on, just making a cake. I like to eat cake randomly, so sue me. I mixed everything together, poured it into the pan, put it in the oven, and waited. It came out looking perfectly fine, nice color, good rise, nothing to suggest anything was off at all. Then I cut into it, and there, sitting at the very bottom of the finished cake, brace yourself, was a strip of freaking chicken. About a 1/4 inch wide and maybe 3 to 4 inches long, just nestled in there like it was supposed to be there. Like that was a totally normal thing to find inside a cake. I think I stood there for a minute looking at it, because what else is a person supposed to do when they find chicken in their cake? My first rational thought was that I was seeing things. My second thought was, how? How does that even happen? The only explanation I've ever been able to come up with is that I must have had some chicken out at the same point that day, maybe earlier, and somehow a small piece ended up on the counter or near my workspace and just fell into the batter bowl without me noticing. Which, when I say it out loud, sounds absurd, but I have no other theory. The cake looked completely normal from the outside the entire time. There was no sign whatsoever that anything was wrong with it. It smelled fine baking. It looked fine coming out. You would have had absolutely no idea until you actually cut into it and found a piece of chicken sitting in the middle of your dessert. I told this to a couple of friends in real life first, and they all had that look of confusion and disbelief. Which is fair, honestly. I had the same look on my face when I found it. Okay, this is one of my favorite weird stories, because it just doesn't make any sense. I guess you have DOP, where an object can vanish from one universe, go to a different one. So, in a different universe, you were making maybe fajitas, which are fantastic, and one of the chicken breasts was just transposed to your cake tin somehow after you poured the batter, or just before it. That feels like a multiverse level Paul prank. If I could, I would do this all the time to people. They'd have desserts that have random things in it. Nothing, again, that would hurt them, just weird things. Now, the real question, though, is, did you still eat the cake? Because, I probably would just cut around the edges where the chicken breast was on the bottom layer. How much flavor of the chicken breast would infuse into the cake? I have no idea. I'll never find out. I'll never test that, but... Case file number 3584. Written by Lavender Space Rain. The Skin Deep Mystery. Got a cut on my hand in the kitchen, maybe half an inch long. One of those that stings more than it probably should. You know the type, small but somehow really irritating, where the pain is always there hiding in the background of your mind. I looked at it for a second, thought, well, that's annoying, and then did what any reasonable person does in that situation, and immediately went to show someone. My son was nearby, so I went over and held it up. He looked at it, winced a little, and we were both just like, ouch. Had a bit of a laugh about it. About an hour later, my husband came home, and I figured I'd show him too. I held out my hand to show him, except the cut wasn't there. I looked down, fully expecting to point it out. Smooth skin. I actually did a little double take, thinking maybe I was looking at the wrong spot. Then I checked the other hand, thinking maybe I'd somehow mixed them up. Then I went back and checked both hands again, more carefully this time, turning them over, looking at every finger. No cut, no mark, no sign that anything had ever been there at all. I started actually questioning my own memory. I've had scary experiences before, but this kind of inside dread is by far the worst kind. I called my son over because I needed someone to either confirm I wasn't imagining things or at least to go mad alongside me. He came in, took one look at my hands, and got this puzzled expression on his face. But he didn't hesitate. He backed me up completely. Said yes, he had definitely seen it. A real full cut. He remembered it. It was there, and we both saw it. So then all three of us are standing in the kitchen, passing my hands around like we're doing some kind of formal inspection. Turning them over, holding them up to the light, looking between the fingers. My husband's peering at them like he's going to find something we missed, but he didn't. Not even a faint mark or a scratch or anything that might explain it. Okay, this glitch, I've read stories before where people have injuries that seem to heal very quickly, and it is true that the body is capable of healing wounds very quickly if they're very small. If you have like a scalpel slice, that can heal very quickly. But I think in this case, if I'm assuming you cut yourself with a knife, a kitchen knife, half an inch long or something, it's kind of like what I did maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't know if this will be caught on camera, but like right here, you can see the new skin is over, the scab's gone and all. It's basically healed for all intents and purposes. But This took a week and a half, maybe, to heal. I don't know what the normal rate is, but I'm just saying that if your cut was anything like mine, which is what I'm picturing, then there's simply no way that it instantly healed like that, to my knowledge. And it also made me think of Wolverine's superpower, how, in reality, his wounds heal within seconds. And we're talking, even if it's a small wound like this, or your knife cut, that is like 1,000,000 times faster than normal healing rate. So that's an insane superpower when you really think about it. You know, like Speedster is going 1,000 times faster than a human can run or something, or with 10,000 times the strength, or something like that. Wolverine's power is pretty nuts. Case file number 3585, written by WR Love 5683. Hanging where it belonged. My husband and I went to a comedy show a few years ago, a night that was supposed to be fun. As we're going through the entrance, the staff stopped us and told my husband that the small metal bottle opener on his keychain wasn't allowed inside the venue. It sounds like such a minor thing, but this wasn't just any bottle opener. It had been a gift from his late wife, something she had given him that he carried with him everywhere without even thinking about it anymore. It had just become part of his keys, part of his daily life, part of him. The parking lot was about a mile from the entrance, and he didn't want to make the long walk back just to leave it in the car. So, after a moment, he dropped it in the trash can right there at the door. I watched him do it. I was standing right next to him. I was even a bit surprised. He let it go, and we walked inside. He was viscerally upset, as he was grieving something he just didn't expect to. But he didn't want to ruin the night, so we found our seats, watched the show, and did our best to be present and laugh. He never left my side, not during the show, not after, not on the walk back to the car. We drove home together and went to bed like any other night. A few weeks later, I walked into the kitchen, and there it was, hanging on our key hook on the wall, exactly where the keys and little everyday things tend to collect. The bottle opener, his bottle opener. The one I had watched him drop into a trash can at a venue a mile from our car, on a night he never once slipped out of my sight. We were both stunned. He never went back to that venue to search in the garbage for it. We reached out to the people who would have known and confirmed that his late wife had only ever purchased one. There was no duplicate, no spare sitting in a drawer somewhere, no second one that could have turned up. It was the exact same one. We've turned it over and over looking for any rational explanation that holds up. We've never found one. To this day, whenever it comes up, it brings tears to our eyes. It feels like something that wasn't supposed to stay lost found its way back. And I know it's just a bottle cap opener, but it means so much to him. Case file number 3586, written by Men019. Invisible Hands at Work. I'm a pretty grounded person. Wink wink. I don't go looking for the supernatural, and I usually have a logical explanation for everything. But this happened a few years back during an autumn contract, and I still can't quite shake the physicality of it. I was doing seasonal landscaping, specifically graveyard maintenance. If you've ever done that work in the fall, you know it's a never-ending battle. The leaves come down in waves, and you're basically just moving piles from one section to another all day, like shoveling snow while in a blizzard. Feels that way at times. I was part of a 4-person squad, but graveyards are massive, so we'd eventually drift apart. I had my heavy backpack blower on, and these things are loud. They vibrate your whole spine, and with the ear protection on, you're effectively in a sensory vacuum. We're just me, the vibration of the engine, and about 1 billion maple leaves. Now I have this coworker, let's call him Kev. Kev is that guy. Every weird shadow is a shadow person. Every cold breeze is a spirit. He yapped about it constantly during lunch breaks, and honestly, I used to just tune him out. I'm there to get a paycheck, not hunt for Casper. Don't hate him or anything, it can be a lot. Okay, so I was working a section of older headstones. I was trying to clear a stubborn drift of damp leaves caught between two monuments. To get the right angle with the blower nozzle, I needed to reposition. I didn't want to walk all the way around a large flat plot, so I decided to step over a grave. I want to be clear, I didn't step on it. I've always been respectful of the tenants, even if I don't really believe in the spooky stuff. I just extended my leg to stride over the mound, to get to a better vantage point. Right as I was mid-stride, I got pushed, hard. It wasn't a trip, it wasn't a stumble. It felt like a forceful, two-handed shove right in the center of my back. The weight of the backpack blower shifting my center of gravity should have gone face first into the dirt, but luckily, I've done years of epic judo. My mat brain kicked in, and I dropped my center, pivoted my lead foot, and managed to stay upright through sheer muscle memory. I whipped around immediately. I expected to see Kev or one of the other guys playing a prank, even though they were supposed to be 3 sections over. There was nobody there. The area was wide open, no trees close enough for a branch to have caught me or for someone to hide behind. Absolutely no wind strong enough to move a grown man with 30 pounds of gear on his back, or hell, barely a breeze then. Windy days are the bane of our existence. And definitely no coworkers. The silence that followed when I idled the blower was thick. I stood there for a second, heart hammering against my chest. I looked down at the grave I'd just tried to leapfrog. I'm not saying I saw or felt a ghost, but I am saying that physical force came from somewhere that wasn't here now. I thought about Kev. I thought about all his yapping. And at that moment, I didn't feel like a skeptic anymore. Not a believer either exactly, but I felt like a guest who had been incredibly rude. I looked at the headstone and said, "My bad, I didn't mean any disrespect. I'll walk around next time." I finished the shift, kept my head down, and, appropriately enough, never stepped over another grave again. I didn't even tell Kev. I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of an "I told you so," but yeah, some things you just can't logic your way out of easily. So this is an interesting way to frame spirits and the afterlife and I guess there are a lot of shows that do that where there's like a plot line of they're trying to find their final resting place, so they purchase a cemetery plot or a plot inside of an indoor mausoleum or something like that, because, that's where they're going to spend their final eternity, right? I don't think that's what actually happens. Not really. But I do think there can be echoes and imprints left behind, and in that case, maybe in some situations, there are spirits just are tiny fragments of the people left behind, and maybe they're still in some way or level consciously aware. So it might not even have been you stepping over the grave. I think, if anything, it would be the noise of the leaf blower. I mean, it's not like you can do anything about that. You had your job to do, right? You're basically cleaning up their living room for them. Not that they can do it themselves, or maybe they can. That'd be funny if cemeteries can be self-cleaning by the spirits, the fragments left over of the people living there now. The tenants, as you call them. Oh man, sometimes I just don't even know where my mind's going, but it's funny. Case file number 3587, written by Clown1327. When east is only a suggestion. Okay, I've been sitting on this for a while because, honestly, it sounds like my own fault. But I swear on everything that I am, I know these damn roads. This wasn't a wrong turn. This was some straight-up Matrix nonsense. A few months back, I was driving my mom home from a doctor's appointment. The office is in the next city over, maybe 30 minutes west of us. On the way back, the highway was an absolute parking lot, just red brake lights as far as you could see. I'm not a fan of sitting in gridlock, so I told my mom, "Forget this, let's just hit the back roads." We took the next exit and headed south for a bit. My plan was simple. Drive south until we hit one of the main county roads that runs east-west. I know for a fact that if you head east on that road, it dumps you right back into our town. It's basically a straight shot. So we hit the intersection. I see the sign, and I turn left, east. We're driving for maybe 15 to 20 minutes, just talking, listening to the radio, relaxed. I'm thinking we're almost home. Then I look up and start seeing landmarks that look wrongly familiar. I slowed down looking around and my stomach just gurgled. We weren't near our house. We were literally 2 streets over from the doctor's office we had just left 20 minutes ago. I pulled over and just stared at it. My mom was just as confused as I was. She goes, "Wait, is that the pharmacy from earlier?" It was. Somehow, after driving south, then turning east, which should have taken us away from that city, we had somehow performed a giant impossible loop and ended up right back where we started. I was so frustrated and weirded out that I actually doubled back. I drove back to the highway, took the exact same exit, drove south to the exact same road, and made the exact same left turn. That time, it worked perfectly. My mom's never experienced anything like this. I've had some weird crap happen, though nothing as big as this, so she was legitimately out of it and wanted me to run it again. We ended up in our driveway 20 minutes later at that time, exactly like logic and my memory of the area dictates. I have no freaking clue what happened. Gone back a couple of times since, by myself, just to try and recreate the anomaly or matrix nonsense, thinking maybe there's a weird fork in the road or a confusing sign, but every single time the road just goes east, and there's no road that could lead to a full loop. Google Maps also confirms this. Case file number 3588, written by Victory Dance. Hi, Bumblebee. Hopefully I can explain this properly, because I'm still not entirely sure I can make sense of it myself. I was driving on a 2-lane highway, just going about my normal commute. I was in the left lane, keeping pace with traffic. Then I noticed a bright yellow car had come up behind me. And I mean bright yellow, Bumblebee style, the kind that stands out even in your peripheral vision. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't a pale or faded yellow, it was vivid, almost aggressive in how visible it was. The driver was tailgating me pretty badly, riding my bumper uncomfortably close, and I could feel that mild, low-level road frustration starting to build. I wanted to speed up and get away from them, honestly, but I had no option. There was another car ahead of me, in the left lane, setting the pace, and I was essentially boxed in. So I did what most of us do in that situation. I kept glancing up at my rearview mirror, annoyed, watching this yellow car fill the frame behind me. I was looking directly at them in the mirror when they made their move. They began drifting to the right, starting to merge into the right lane, probably to go around me, I thought. They crossed into my blind spot, behind and beside my right shoulder, where you simply can't see without physically turning your head to look. I registered them entering it, and I waited for them to continue through and appear beside me. That transition usually takes only a second or two, but they didn't come out the other side. I waited. Nothing. No yellow car appearing in my passenger window. No yellow car pulling ahead of me in the right lane. I turned my head, actually rotated it fully to look, doing my best owl imitation. Nada. Completely and utterly gone. I scanned every mirror, looked in every direction I could while still keeping the car on the road. But here's the thing that really gets me. My car has those proximity sensors built into the side mirrors. The little lights that illuminate when a vehicle is detected alongside you. That indicator never triggered, which means whatever happened, it happened before the car ever made it fully into that zone beside me. And I want to stress the conditions here, because this wasn't some murky, ambiguous situation where you could chalk it up to poor visibility or nighttime confusion. This was total daylight, clear skies, open highway with clean sightlines stretching out ahead and behind. The road in that stretch had a solid concrete median running alongside the left lane and a continuous guardrail alongside the right. This meant there were no exits, no turnoffs, no shoulders wide enough to pull a car into, no gaps in the barrier for anyone to disappear through. There was, physically speaking, nowhere to go. The car would have had to pass through solid concrete or solid metal to have vanished the way it did. I spent the next several miles with eyes drifting back to the rearview mirror over and over, half expecting and half hoping to see that yellow flash reappear in the distance behind me. It never did. I really wish I'd had a rear-facing dashcam. Case file number 3589, written by Karoshta K. Love, Lollipops, and Lag. On Valentine's Day of 2018, I was out running errands. It was around midday, and I had gone to get a few things for my toddler and niece. You know, last-minute gifts for V-Day. So oddly enough, 2 separate incidents occurred within about 2 hours. The first happened while driving on Interstate 295. I'm in the fast lane when I look in the rearview mirror and see a police car speeding up behind me. I considerately get over into the middle lane to let the cop proceed past me, and as the car passes, I, without thought, look over and catch a glimpse of the police officer driving. There was nothing strange about it at first. I saw a white male officer in uniform with a shaved head looking forward as he drove past me. Now this is where it got strange. He then gets over into my lane, so he's now in front of me, then immediately gets all the way over and takes the next exit, the one we're coming up to, and gets off, so of course now I'm thinking, oh good, I can get back in the fast lane and speed again. Except before I had a chance to think or get over, I glanced to my left, then lo and behold, I'm witnessing the same exact scene as just 30 seconds ago. Same car, same white male officer looking forward as he drove past me. Hell, even I moved my head at the same precise timing to see and witness this unfold as it just had. You'll never guess what happens next. This police car, as suddenly as it passes me in the left lane, is now getting over in front of me and proceeds to get on the next exit coming up to the right. Okay, I'm not freaking out at this point, I'm just like, well, that was weird, and continue on with my day. About an hour later, I'm at Walmart. I walk in, and the holiday aisle is directly as you walk into the store. So I'm in the Valentine section. There's not much left, so I'm scrounging through the barren shelves for some hidden gems my niece and daughter might appreciate when someone briskly walks past the end of the aisle I'm on. I just happened to look up and see this person, but I just took notice because he was holding a cute little gift bag, and I even commented to myself something along the lines of, "Aw, looks like he's got a little gift for his sweetie." So I saw exactly what he was wearing and all. He's an average height, slick dark brown hair, blue button-up shirt, black slacks, shiny black dress shoes, holding that blue smaller size gift bag by the handles. Like he just purchased jewelry or some small gift, not like folded up to go pay for. So yeah, it was a little off, I suppose, but then all of a sudden, next thing I know, it's happening all over again. I looked down for a few seconds at the stuff on the shelf when something made me look up towards the end of the aisle, where this guy is literally walking past, yet again, same exact guy, holding the exact same gift bag. Now this time, yes, I started losing my crap. I frantically walked to the end of the aisle with my buggy and looked toward the checkout lines and the door that I was near to see if I could catch him and possibly see his evil twin from literally 15 seconds ago. But he was nowhere to be seen now, or his twin. They just vanished. I probably look like a madwoman after witnessing this, but I'm expressing myself out loud, saying things like, "Wait a minute," and "No freaking way." I beelined it to the checkout and got the hell out of there. It was then, in my confused stupor, that I recalled the previous incident with the officers on I-295 just an hour before, and how it was too much of a coincidence that I witnessed 2 similar scenarios in such a short period of time. Now, I've always been into strange and mysterious stuff, but it was only then that I started researching and learning of glitches in the Matrix, and found that I was not alone in what I had experienced. I just wish I'd been recording, although there's always some supernatural or paranormal stuff going on around me. That was the only time I've ever had the privilege of witnessing such unique and mystifying encounters as 2 separate glitches in the Matrix on Valentine's Day, and really, they were probably the same one, in a sense. Now time for the jokes of the day. Wife yells from upstairs, "Hey, do you ever get a really sharp pain in your heart area? Almost like someone is using a voodoo doll against you?" Husband says, "No." How about now? She's practicing. My friend has been engaged over 5 times, but never married. That's a lot of near misses. My kids told me I have every board game except one. I had no clue. It's a great board game, though. It was a butler with a wrench in the lounge. It's always a butler, though, isn't it? I was drinking a margarita, and the waitress yelled, "Does anyone know CPR?" I said, "I know the entire alphabet." We all laughed and laughed. Well, except one guy. He was speechless. Permanently speechless. Why can't muggers catch Catholics during Lent? They fast. And when you're fasting, you actually feel more energetic most of the time. As long as you take salt water. You gotta keep those electrolytes within your system. But yeah, probably true. In both ways. Video up here. YouTube thinks you'll like it. Check it out. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. See you next time.